Elio guys, and welcome back to yet another installment of the updated tier list. In today's video though, we're going to be taking a look at the Waveclearer's tier list version 1.1. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so quick disclaimer, just in case you guys don't know, this is more of just a quick overview of everything and showing you guys what I have added / what I have changed compared to the original. So if you want a more in-depth explanation for the tier list, please check out the original video, and if it's updated in the future, I will just take this video down and upload another version of the 1.1. But anyways, starting off here, do remember that the tier list is totally opinionated. This is one man's opinion only. Don't go over here and be like, oh, well, Elio said this, Elio said that. Yes, he did say it, but that doesn't mean that it's true. So do keep that in mind. It's just purely opinionated. I will leave the tier list link on the Discord in the link below for the description. So if you want to pull up on your phone or something and just save it just to have it handy, feel free to do so. But as always, the tier list goes from left to right. Whoever is closest to the letter is the strongest of that tier, and whoever is the furthest away from that letter is the weakest of that tier, but they're still within the same tier. And we can see that this tier list goes from F to S rank, and then there's also I at the bottom. I only stands for Impractical. It doesn't mean that they are bad as Waveclearers, because most of them are actually quite good. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that for their usage, it's just impractical, either due to obtaining them or their animation. So let's go ahead and start here from the F tier list, and I'll work my way up to S, and then we'll hit I at the end. So F tier, I ended up adding in Wood Rudolph because in the original tier list I totally forgot that she existed as a Waveclearer. She's slightly better than Fire Radius, but only slightly. The main issue with her though isn't so much of her skills, though they need a buff in terms of damage. It's just that her overall base stats make her super duper fragile, just like Fire Radius. And unlike Fire Radius, I mean, she's obtainable only during her event, so in a way she could definitely be considered impractical, and I didn't think about that until I was doing the video. So you could count her as the weakest one on the impractical list if you want. If not, she would be on the F tier otherwise. I talked about Radius before. He's F tier as well. He's a farmable Waveclearer near the end of the continent. So if you want to use him as a Waveclearer until you get someone else better, feel free to do so. Work with what you have here. The new additions to the D tier though is going to be Light Birdie, followed by Water Thor, and then ending with Water Mona. Now, Water Mona was taken into consideration even with her super evolution. Her base stats aren't that bad at all, but her morale boost could be better, and having defense down, especially in like Wood Banshee's case in the C tier, is a big help. It's just that her stats are kind of a bit lackluster even with the super evolution investment to make it worthwhile. Now, I'm not saying that she's a terrible Waveclearer, but considering all the other mods that we have access to, she's, you know, definitely one of the weaker ones, which is perfectly fine because her main goal is obviously Golems B8, and you know, she's going to be there until you get lovely Dark Mona. But following her is going to be Thor. Thor does have slightly better skills than her and slightly higher stats, not by much, but honestly, is it worth building him? I do have a Water Thor myself. I just did it because we're not going to talk about that, but is it worth building him? Absolutely not. You could literally build a Water Mona for free. You have to sacrifice countless Nat 4s to get a Water Thor, and the orange just isn't worth the squeeze. After that is Light Birdie though, who is slightly weaker than Light Jack, and Light Jack also, I believe, has a 1-up in terms of skill books with damage, because Birdie has Predator, but Light Jack has Hunter, and obviously with that crit rate, it's a little bit easier to build her. But even with that though, she's just a very fragile Astromon, so it's like, I'm going to kill you or I'm going to die. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. And then moving forward, we have Water Merlin coming in, followed by Fire Merlin. Both Merlins are useful. They could be considered an impractical tier list as well, just because their animations are dirt nasty slow. But I'm not saying that you have to Evo 3 these guys. In an Evo 3 situation, this is what their ranking would be, especially if they're slow as dirt animations. But you could always Evo 2 these guys, especially if you're a newer player and you pulled one. Evo 2 them, use them, and then once you get Wood Merlin, feed it to Wood Merlin. If you're going to Dark Merlin, feed it to Dark Merlin. Like, Evo 2 is perfectly fine if that's all that you can do at the time. Following that is going to be Light Tina and then Light Sarah. Both of these mons are obviously light types, which their dark counterparts obviously are superior in damage just because of the crit damage to them. And from memory, I do believe they have like morale boosts and elemental edge, something of that nature, which works but isn't like super duper amazing. But even if you have one of these, that's a huge step up from like literally nothing. Following in the C tier though, we have Dark Marie, there's also Dark Pegasus, Wood Banshee, and then Dark Sarah rounds that out. The problem with Dark Pegasus and Dark Marie is Dark Marie has like, what is it, Battle Rush and Predator, I want to say, and then Pegasus has Morale Boost and Hunter. But his stats are lower than Dark Mona's, and once again, he's in the Thor situation of you have to sacrifice X amount of Astramon to get him, and he's already weaker than what newer players get on their account for free. So, other than the Astra Guide, why would you do that? Even looking at books, he's still going to come out a little bit weaker if I do recall. So, once again, why would you do that? Banshee doesn't really have wave clearing probabilities to her because of her 5-star skill being defense down, but with her being fully booked up in a super evolution and her attack stat is nothing to scoff at either, she can get her SP up fairly quickly with that defense down being applied super duper quickly and then spamming it until something dies. So not technically a Waveclearer, but I will go ahead and give her an easy pass on this. And then Dark Sarah just rounds things out because obviously she's a Darkmon and she's just the dark version of Light Sarah. So she does have the elemental edge, but at least she benefits from an additional crit damage which Light Sarah unfortunately cannot benefit from. And then we have the B tier over here. Fire Siegfried is coming in at the top of the B tier, followed by Light Artemis. Both of these mons are respectively very, very good. It's just that you have to pull Light Artemis, while Fire Siegfried, especially for any new players out there, you can just farm him out from the clan shop. So make sure you're participating in clan versus clan. Make sure you're doing Titans and logging into your clan every single day. And hopefully within a month or two, depending on how much you play or how hard you play, you should end up getting a Fire Siegfried and hopefully get him to Evo 2 to serve as possibly your first Evo 3 Waveclearer in the future. But with newer players, you do get Dark Mona, which is coming in at the lower part of the A tier, but she's still technically A tier, and she's pretty much free if anyone has just began the game. Mona's up here because not only is she a dark type with her boosted crit damage, but she also has a super evolution in her books. While it's not like super duper amazing, her books do help. Same thing with Dark Tina here. Dark Tina is just a big step up, and at least in my opinion, from Dark Mona because of the added damage from her books. Like, it goes super duper bonkers. Because if Mona's books were near Tina's, she would definitely be higher. But Dark Tina with her lovely Hunter is just, it's nasty. It's honestly just nasty. Coming in after that, though, is Fire Draka, which I implore everyone out there, you should have at least one Fire Draka because Puncture just makes MSL a auto idle game at this point in time. There's nothing else I can say about that other than you better have enough Nat 5 to sacrifice to get your Fire Draka to Evo 3, or congratulations, you played yourself. Then after that is going to be Light Indra, and then Dark Imperato, which Dark Imperato is obtainable from the World Boss situation, which I guess honestly could be considered Impractical as well because you have to farm him out. So if you want to put him on Impractical part of the tier list, feel free to do that as well because you do have to farm him out and get his shards up, but he is obtainable. And then rounding out the S tier, we have Dark Purse, and then we also have Dark Gilgamesh, because Dark Gilgamesh is literally Fire Draka, but Dark type with a slightly less puncture. I believe his puncture is 90% versus Draka's being 100%, even fully booked up. But with his high AF attack stat and obviously the crit damage boost that both him and Dark Purse get, combined with their Battle Rush and Morale boost, and Dark Purse as Predator, it's obviously that they're just top tier Waveclearers. Like, they're gonna hit like a mother trucker, dude. They're gonna hit like a butt cheek on a stick. And then over here at the bottom, we have the I tier list, which is just the Impractical tier list, which once again I mentioned, you could slide some of these mons over here into the Practical tier list too, because I'm not stating that these Astramon are bad. I'm stating that from my personal viewpoint, I view them as Impractical. So coming in at the bottom of the Impractical tier list, still usable, but at the bottom is Incubus, who recently got a buff here. He does have Battle Rush now, and that goes into Hunter. I would prefer a more beefier morale boost, but it is what it is. And while his stats are acceptable, they're not super duper great. His animations are just far too long, even on a Siphon set, for him to be viable if you're trying to do any fast farming. And then Water Poseidon and Light Poseidon come in after that. Light Poseidon recently got a buff as well, which makes his attack stat pretty nice. So the biggest issue with these guys is obviously Water Poseidon comes from clan versus clan, which isn't really worth it if you're trying to go for him, because by the time that you get him, you should already have one of the other Waveclearers from the top of this tier list. And then Light Poseidon is farmable from the Dimensional Dungeon now, which is super duper good. But once again, that's more of in-game content, not saying that newer players can't do it, but it's just a lot easier to get those shards as an in-game player because you're able to have the Astromons to clear those stages out reliably. And then Fire Gen is after that. Fire Gen has a super duper quick animation, but he's probably, at least in my opinion, a little bit worse to get than Light Poseidon, even though he's further on the tier list because of the amount of dragon runs that you have to do in order to summon the gens, which I think I have my first Evo 3 gen after like 3 years of playing the game, like maybe like a year ago, and I'm working on my second one just because I don't farm story too often because I'm farming golems, so it's kind of bad news bears to do so. And he's not worth gleaming up because just wait for Fire Draka and gleam up Fire Draka. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then there's Shadow, who was part of the Sonic the Hedgehog event that happened, I think 2 years back now. He's only came around once, and he has Battle Rush and Attack Up, which doesn't really classify as wave clearing. But due to him being a dark type, due to him being able to get his SP up super duper quickly, and just the attack up buff being applied, means the next time that he does attack up, with his stats already boosted, he's going to be hitting pretty hard. So that's pretty much it for the updated tier list here. I didn't want to spend too much time on it because a more in-depth review of the original Waveclearer tier list is up on YouTube, and I figured I would do just a brief update on this. So you guys feel free to add in any comments below. Do remember that this tier list is taking into consideration for the Waveclearers that they either have Battle Rush / Morale Boost as their 3-star skill, and then for their 5-star skill, in most cases they're either going to have Elemental Edge, Hunter, Predator, and with a few minor exceptions, there's also Defense Down. This is one guy's opinion. This will be updated in the future if anything changes, though I don't really foresee that, but I could be wrong. But that's pretty much it, you guys. The next one on the list, though, is going to be the Super Evolution tier list. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get together, but hopefully I can get that out for you guys because I know it's heavily requested, and we just have had a lot of additional Astromon added and some changes that take time and consideration to put into. And with Cupid coming out here very shortly, I mean, it's probably the perfect time for me to do that. But that's pretty much it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't considered subscribing, go ahead and subscribe, man, because I know you're watching the videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.